Hi, I'm Pastor Manny at Faith Bible Chapel here in Page, Arizona. I want to tell you about an exciting opportunity we have as we celebrate this year's Easter. As we go into the season of Lent, we're going to take 40 days and we're going to actually look and focus on how God's love changes everything. And that's really the name of this campaign. It's that this love changes everything. We're going to start with the fact that this love is real. In a generation and among a people where you really can't trust what you see and most of what you hear, we're going to realize and see that what God offers, even though it seems outrageously good, is truly real. And so we're going to look at that. We're also going to look at how this love really does change everything. It changes who we are at the very most core level. You see, we started out as enemies of God, but through Jesus' love, we go from enemy to friend, from friend to an heir of God. And not only are we heirs of God, but then he takes us further and makes us ambassadors for his kingdom. Is that crazy or what? And then in week 3, we're going to go on and see how this love, as it has changed us, also changes how we view others. You see, when we find that God values us so highly and loves us so well, then we can't help but respond in kind. And we see that even as God loved us, so is he able to love others. Go on to the 4th week, which is this love changes our priorities. It's really amazing how when we live our lives focused on ourselves, that all those little things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis become the focus of our lives. But when we belong to something bigger than ourselves, then the range of our vision changes. We start to look further out and much broader in scope. And so we're going to look and see just how it is that when we come to Christ, we start caring about the legacy we leave behind. And even more than that, that we find that what God offers us is freedom. Freedom from sin, freedom from old habits, so that that day that we go to meet him, we come free and clear. Many people think that Christianity is about a bunch of do's and don'ts. Not the truth at all. Christianity is about having a relationship with a loving Father who sets you up to be the most successful person you can be in this life with a vision for something much greater than yourself. You want to see your life expand? Give your life to Jesus Christ. We're going to go from there to see how this love that God gives us so richly and fully, it also changes each today. We're going to look at Barabbas. He was a man who was in prison for sedition when Jesus was on trial before Pilate. Pilate was hoping to release him, and so he offered to the people, as in keeping with the holiday of that time, I will let this Jesus go. Would you have this, or would you have Barabbas? Barabbas had been sitting in the stinking prison. He had murdered a man in the practice of a sedition, trying to overthrow the government. I'm sure Barabbas saw himself as a freedom fighter, but now he was a prisoner expecting death. The Roman government saw him as a terrorist. And so in the midst of this, the day he's expecting to die, the guards come to prison. But because the people cried out to release Barabbas instead of Jesus, Barabbas finds himself on the open street, a free man. Can you imagine what that was like? But the truth of the matter is each of us are a little like Barabbas. We thought we were living and fighting for freedom, but what we found is that we were going deeper and deeper into our own prisons. Some of us of pure selfishness, or that selfishness leading to addiction, other things of that nature. But what's great about Jesus Christ is that his love has set us free. And it's for freedom that he set us free. In other words, one of his highest priorities is that you and I live as free men and women. So we're going to look at that because that changes how we live every day. And then we're going to look at how this love changes our tomorrow. We're going to look at 2 different pictures. The first is Jesus hanging on the cross. Imagine that you're painting this picture. What would you include in it? We see his agony. We see his suffering. We see the humility, the horrendous beating that he took. We see people that were calling him a king. They didn't realize that they were actually stating the truth. But in the midst of this, one thing that you don't want to forget in that picture is as you see Jesus on that cross, where are you? We're going to look for you to include yourself in that picture. But then there's a second picture that we celebrate at Easter. That king that they were calling him, well, that's who he is today. One day he's going to return and we'll all stand before him. And so now we're going to ask you to be the artist painting that second picture of Jesus as king and judge. And again, we're going to ask you, where do you fit in that picture? If you are one of those who Jesus Christ has set free, then you are free indeed. And one of the things that you're free from is that judgment. And so we're going to look at God's pardon, but we're also going to look at our great future in eternity. And so I ask you to join us for this 40-day campaign. Use your prayer journal, and in that we're going to have some good messages, and we're going to celebrate the one whose love has changed everything for us. Thank you.